start to the week. This is Tuesday. One. The Ravens didn't blow another lead. Something I love. Seeing that. I like him every time they get out to they were up 7-0 in this game. 10-0 is not one that in like the first quarter that you can be like, they might blow this one. Looking at you, national media. Anyway, look, this is the full tilt Dynasty network. What?
The audio's back.
Oh, the audio.
I hear more music. We're doing the intro again, baby. It is the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. I don't know where it's coming from. Tom has been touting all week this fancy new mechanism you could play. And apparently it just wants to play more music.
It just wants to play it all. It wants to play all the music. What up, Jasper? Look, this is the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast network. This is powered by Fantasy Points. Of course, flagship program. This is a Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. I'm the host of Most Time in His Hands. I am Thomas Tipple FF. Eyes with me, as always, is Big Billy FF, and subbing in for a late canceling man who did not want to face facts. He is last in the player picks, and that's why he's not here. And so Lucas is filling his shoes today.
I can't do much worse than he's been doing, so I feel pretty good.
It is,
that's true. Based strictly off of picks, Jacob is absolutely the worst host on the show right now.
Correct. Yeah.
Like statistical analysis, I am killing that.
We have got some pretty cool stuff coming down the road with what we're going to be able to do here on this program moving forward. Some tests were done. Those tests were successful. We will eventually have the Full Tilt phone line that will be accessible to listeners live. You will be able to call in with your questions respectfully. You will be screened. So, you know what it is. But look, we're going to be able to provide that for everyone. Something a little bit different. It's in the work. It's been tested. We just got to get some stuff sorted out. Jacob getting dragged. Yeah, you get dragged, but you don't show up. That's just the game. That's just how the game works.
Sometimes you get dragged even when you do show up.
It
just happens.
Lucas.
Almost exclusively. I think we just drag each other. Like I don't think it's anything to do with attendance.
Every Friday, Lucas just takes a beating on the walkabout continuously for no reason other than usually I've had a rough week. But he's too polite for that show. Myself and Tom Lee. Obviously, we have an absolute boatload of stuff to get to, but I mean, is there any news we want to hit? I guess we'll hit something. All right, we got some news here. Obviously, Rashad Penny, he's gonzo. He's done for the year. He gave you 1 week this season. Hard to see a situation where he gets a sizable contract next year. I mean, maybe it's Billy's worst nightmare and he stays in Seattle.
I am not here to victory lap an injury. Rashad Penny, I hope you get better, man. I hope you're very excited to come back next year for training camp and produce for whatever team signs you out of free agency. That being said, my Seattle Seahawks running back take is still alive, baby. This was the reason I drafted both of them in redraft. Kenneth Walker, in the absence of Rashad Penny, is going to make a push to be an RB1 this year. And that is real exciting. Look, once again, Rashad Penny, please get better. Kenneth Walker, I am very excited about you moving forward.
Kenneth Walker gets the old one up from Mario here. Cool call line should be fun. Jasper, we're hoping it is. We're hoping it absolutely does what it's supposed to, and not what it potentially could do, which would be awful. But hey, nothing's perfect, but we're gonna get there. Any other news that we really want to hit right now? I know a lot of talk about like penalties, PIs, players being held out for what seems like some minimal things. I think we're just hitting like an overly cautious scenario right now. I think that'll dip, but if there's nothing else, I think we can move right to the waiver wire.
Yeah, I got no problem with that. I am like all this stuff with the penalties, I think is going to be fixed relatively quickly by the NFL.
It can't get worse, I think.
I mean, it could, but
it better not. I think I think it better not is clutch.
That Chris Jones tackle was
brutal.
Worse from me saying it can't get worse from the Brady call. So
it's getting harder for the NFL to say that they have a superior product to college football, wherever they're calling those sort of roughing the passer penalties. So that's a little sad.
TD's loving the sound effects. So.
All right.
Bonus right there. Okay. I think we've got, we're now calling it Not in My League. All right, if you're unfamiliar with Not in My League, every week, Jacob normally asks us for a player that is under 50% rostered in your Yahoo leagues. We all blind bid on each other's nominees, and the winners of these will be announced here, and then we can roster up to 3, and we receive points based on their wins above replacement. It's semi-complicated, but by the end of the year, we're going to get it figured out. I blew this last week. I thought we had a $200 fab budget. Turns out we have a $100 fab budget, and I dropped Raheem fucking Mostert the week before he blows up. So that's my week. I suck at this already. I'm going to rebound.
None of us have scored yet this year, which I think is flying in the face of Jacob's game.
I would have scored if I just held strong. But Lucas, since you're here filling in, who bid on who and who won who?
So, looking at the list that I've been given, it looks like Kenneth Walker was nominated by Jacob Sanderson.
That is correct.
Tom nominated Rondell Moore. And Billy, you nominated De'Ami Brown. So obviously you want to hear who got De'Ami Brown first, correct?
So if it was me, it's a tie.
And so the winner of De'Ami Brown is no one. No one bid on De'Ami Brown. So
God,
he goes back into the pool.
Solid.
I don't know what to do with that. I think there's only
I think Brown. That's what it should be. My whole point, I keep nominating bad players, hoping someone drops like $1 on them.
Like I did. Like I bid more than $1 last week on a bad player, so that's what it is. What's up? Thanks, running back in Atlanta. No one's ever heard of before.
All right. So now, Rondell Moore for 5 fab goes to Mr. Tom Tipple, and he is dropping Algier. How do you feel about that?
Horrendous mistake. I regret it. That is a net negative in fab usage. I chased the points, and I regret it immensely. I should have
sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy. I
should have stuck with my off-season prediction in Algier being awful. I held that through the entire draft process, through the entire preseason, and 4 weeks of NFL action. And for some reason, I felt this is the time. Rough. Yeah, we are. Look, we were saying light the Dortch on the fantasy walkabout. The Dortch is now getting put out, okay, and it's getting thrown in the shed. The Dortch is done. Rondale might be
a fun couple weeks.
Right,
it was fun.
Greg Dortch is 100% gonna be a stat corner answer next year.
I think that'll be an excellent one.
Among
We're all going
players under 5'9", who led the league in targets through the first 3 weeks of the season last year.
Anyway,
and the real one, the one that y'all actually care about here, the one Billy cares about the most, and he should, because Kenneth Walker is going to Jacob Sanderson for 51 fab. So over half of his fab.
So to be clear in this game, I messaged Jacob before the show, and I was like, "Would it be a dick move for me to blow all my fab by in week 5 and just ruin this game for the rest of the season because I can't bid on anything. And then he immediately told me, you can blow it, but you're not going to get Kenneth Walker. So I knew right away I wasn't getting him here. I think Jacob just heard what fab we had and put $1 extra
I feel like he was waiting for this Kenneth Walker opportunity the whole time with this game.
Oh, yeah. And to be honest, Jacob's probably going to make a strong push to win this game now. Because, I mean, this is the goal. This is the point he wanted to make on this game, is how often these replaceable assets come up, specifically at the running back position. And, I mean, like I said, Kenneth Walker, we are 5 weeks in, and none of us have scored points. And
Really, you've been really close a couple of times, though.
Yeah.
Really close.
Last week I had Dotson put up 25, and I can't remember who my other guy is, but it
really feels like we're his guinea pigs for his next article, and I'm okay with that. That's totally fine. All right, that's not in my league. We're moving the show right along. We're gonna hit Billy's Stat Corner. If you're not familiar with Billy's Stat Corner, you're new to Billy's Stat Corner. We're gonna run it through. Let's hit Billy's Stat Corner. Big metalhead over there, big boy Billy. All right, if you're new to Billy's Stat Corner, this is how it works. Billy is the master of statistics. He is a genius. He is a legend amongst the big-brained community.
He gives me more credit every week.
I try to find a new way to do it. And look, because he just is the master of random statistics, we felt it'd be a good idea to challenge his brain. So he has a question for us. Lucas and I are going to get 10 minutes to answer the question. We're going to get 3 strikes, and we get 1 hint. So, Billy, hit us with the question.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have a pretty straightforward one this week. I'm not going to make you jump through hoops. Think about obscure stats like QBR when targeted, air yards, anything like that. All I want is among quarterbacks who have played 5 games this year, what 3 players have the lowest yards per passing attempt?
Only 5 games, the lowest yards per passing.
Yeah, I wanted to bounce because technically Trubisky has the worst one in it, but that felt like a dick move. So players who have played all 5 games this season. So we're not looking at Flacco, Trubisky, Pickett, any of those guys.
Chad, you can play along here. Don't cheat. I'll find out.
If you cheat, I'll know.
Patrick here is an internet investigator. He will find out if you've cheated during this segment or not. He's watching ever so creepishly back there. Okay, so first thing that comes to mind right away, as Lucas is obviously cheating, we see him typing. The first
hands off the keyboard down there.
I'm doing the show notes, okay? Come on.
The first name that comes to mind for me is Jacoby Brissett. He's been baby balling it left, right, and center. That's yards per attempt. That's not yards per completion.
Yards per pass attempt.
I'd like to just start us off strong. First answer, you can oppose it if you will. Not really. You're the guest. We're going to go Jacoby Brissett is the first. We're going to go Jacoby Brissett for the first answer on this program today. I really think
that's part of the group.
I'm starting off strong. He's a guest in this house.
All right.
I'm perfectly good with that.
Okay. Lucas, you don't have to take that. It's fine. You can talk back to him.
He's going to fire me if I don't. All right. I'm prepared.
I'll be on your side. Look, Jacoby Brissett, I think that's a great guess. He is number 5 in yards per attempt.
Get out of here. All right, that's 1 strike.
Can we get our hint now since we already have 1 strike? Thanks, Tom.
No, you don't use the hint now, Lucas. You're such a rookie. You watch the show.
All right.
Flip it every week.
Lucas, don't take that. It's okay.
Who's going to
nice?
No, really. Play Naked in the chat says Daniel Jones.
I like that one.
Jones would be a good one too.
Part of me thinks Justin Fields, but like I don't. He's only thrown 5 passes on this season, and 4 of them have been to freaking Darnell Mooney 80 yards down the field and they go incomplete.
I'm going to
So,
talk
I don't
about this a
know.
little bit later. It feels like every time he throws a ball more than 6 yards, it feels like it went 50. Then you check like your sports book and it's like Darnell Mooney completion for 28 yards just because.
I think there's a trick answer in here. I think there's a superstar on this list, and we're going to have to try to figure it out. So I like Daniel Jones. I like Marcus Mariota. I feel like Marcus Mariota
Ooh,
per
that's a
attempt.
good one.
Oh,
I like that one.
Jones. I do like Daniel Jones. And any names you can think off the top of your head, because I can just
I'm thinking Marcus Mariota. I really like that guess, but there's so many quarterbacks who've already missed a game on the season, so that's kind of leveling some things out. But
it's not Patrick Mahomes, it's not Lamar Jackson, it's not Aaron Rodgers, it's not these guys. So that's why I'm wondering, you got to find like the mid tier to really awful. So that's why I'm kind of thinking Mariota fits. He doesn't put up a ton. He's in the lower passing yardage leaders. So
what about Davis Mills?
Davis Mills? Nah,
Davis Mills plays quarterback for the Texans. In case you need clarification.
Damn, Luke. That fire back. Come on, making me sound like a bully up in here.
That was for you, Tom.
No.
When you went Davis Mills.
Well, all right. Well, I've been played. Fair enough. Okay. I think Davis Mills, I don't know, he throws it intermediate. I don't think Brandon Cooks has like a terrible yards per target. So
it's horrible. I'm just going to throw it out there. He may come up later on in the show, and it's putrid.
We could go Mariota.
I like Mariota.
Mariota's going to be where we go.
All right. Marcus Mariota surprisingly has a better yards per pass attempt right now than Patrick Mahomes. He is surprisingly very far down this list.
Are you kidding?
What?
Marcus Mariota has 926 yards and 123 pass attempts.
Oh my god. Yeah, I had to look it up, and I never would have guessed who it is, so I lost Billy Stack.
Well, it seems like these other two guys aren't going to.
I think we need a hint.
Now we use the hint, Lucas. Very good. You're learning.
So on MLB The Show, you take the guest pitch after 2 strikes. Is that what I'm hearing?
Pitch, because I am not a punk.
I guess pitch on every pitch.
Oh my god. All right, you're both fired. All right, we'll use our hint.
All right. Every single one of these quarterbacks in the top 3 were drafted after 2018.
What?
So does that mean Baker?
Baker was drafted. I mean, he was drafted in 2018, but I'm including that in the mark.
That's played all 5 games.
Oh, it can't be Burrow. I don't think. Can it? It can't be Burrow. I don't think it's Herbert. It's not Tua because Tua's been injured. Can't be Josh Allen.
This is going to be some sort of bullshit trick question. It can't be Aaron Rodgers.
I've narrowed it down pretty far.
2018. Baker's got to be one of them. He's so bad.
Yeah, I'm okay with Baker.
If we lose this, we're gonna lose it on the arm of Baker Mayfield, like so many people's fantasy teams.
Like the Panthers have been this whole season.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you're not losing it this time. Baker Mayfield is number 2.
Okay, that's
in yards per attempt.
All right, that's one for the
guys.
There you go.
One for the guys. Drafted after 2018. I mean, could it be?
Is it Murray?
Oh, Murray would be a good one. Oh man, he throws so many screens. I have a feeling it's going to be something like Herbert and then Kyler Murray. I really do.
I feel better about Murray if we're going to guess one of these elite quarterbacks.
Okay. You said our hint, listener Barry BW883 says his hint is that he had to look it up and he never would have guessed. So I'm assuming it's a Kyler or a Herbert. So because he's a giant Herbert fan. So we're gonna say Kyler, and then I'm gonna bet you Herbert's gonna be there. So we'll go Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray has the lowest yards per pass attempt this year.
That's another one for the good guys.
He has 1,200 yards, but also 215 pass attempts.
Oh yeah, he had like eight targets to Rondale Moore, like behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he
awful.
I think he leads the league in pass attempts, so that's kind of what's hurting him there.
Here's the trick. So we've got 1 and 2. We need 3. Right? So who's number 3 on that list drafted after 2018?
I'm going through all the divisions right now, trying to narrow it down. And
it's not Lamar Jackson. We can throw that one out the window. That man throws the ball so much and misses. It blows my mind. It's obviously not Josh Allen. Could it be Justin Herbert?
That just feels so wrong.
How many deep passes has Mike Williams caught this year? Not many. He has thrown it short of the line of scrimmage a lot, especially being hurt. Drafted in 2018 or after. Man, that sounds pretty good to me. Who are the 2020 quarterbacks? I'm so confused by this question. It's so aggravating. I want to say either Justin Fields or Justin Herbert. So whichever one, unless you can think of a different one.
Oh, gosh.
We got to roll. We're at 23 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to lose on a trick, but it also is going to hurt if it's somebody obvious. But I'd much rather not be able for it to be rubbed in our faces that we missed on Justin Herbert than Justin Fields or Davis Mills. So,
God, Mills might actually.
My gut says Mills, but I feel like it's saying up for Herbert.
Oh man. Okay. Well, you're the
Herbert, so I can't be fired.
You make the pick. You make the pick.
Come on, Lucas.
Davis Mills, screw it. I'm going Mills.
He changed it up. For the record, I picked Herbert. All right, here we go.
Lucas, with a last-minute change of heart, pulls it out.
Yeah.
Davis Mills, number 3. I don't know where you were getting your Justin Herbert call on that. He is so far down.
Hey, I knew there was another trick there. That's a win. That's a win for the good guys in Billy's Stat Corner this week. That's another one. Billy's
also,
only once. That's what's up.
Anyone want to take a shot at who is tied for first?
Is it Geno Smith? Tell me it's Geno Smith.
Geno Smith is one of them, baby. and the second one is Josh Allen. So that was the fun part there.
Or whatever.
The truly elite quarterbacks. Those are the ones at the top of the list.
We even got in who killed Discord if we should be trading Geno Smith for a 1. So that's where we're at now. It's happening. It is upon us. So
it's time.
I made fun of Tom Lee for trading a second to Barry for him. And it looks like even after trading for Russell Wilson, he already had the quarterback he needed. Truly phenomenal. Look, we're moving right along here. Next up, we're obviously going to go with our player picks before we get into the meat of the order. Reminder, I am winning the player picks. So watch how a champion does it.
Gaining on you.
Rolling right now. All right, so this is how it works. Every week, me and the gents, we pick players based on the Fantasy Pros weekly rankings, PPR formats. I think Jacobs is incorrect because he said he wanted to use Taysom Hill if he could, but Taysom Hill was tight end 8. He's actually tight end 15. So I'm pretty sure Jacobs going off half-point PPR scoring here which is a disadvantage for him. That's his fault for not reading. He's also not here to defend himself.
Taysom Goose. Taysom Goose.
He doesn't get to use Taysom. That's not who he picked. Okay, so last week, just a reminder that I absolutely read it up. Yo, what's going on? What's going on? Much love. Appreciate you for stopping in. Thanks for hopping in, man. So this is how it works. Each week we pick a player outside the quarterback top 15, a running back outside of top 16, wide receiver outside of top 24, and a tight end outside of the top 10. Just to recap, once again, I am winning 280.16 points.
I'm gaining on you.
Is in a closer second place with 266.24. And Jacob, being the absolute worst at this game, is sitting at 160.06. He's terrible at this.
I'm about to start making like fantasy lineup decisions based on who Jacob picks.
Oh no!
Like,
look, I'm gonna.
That math is weird.
I'm gonna kick this off. Wait, is that? Hold on, is that Sugar Bear? Yo, Sugar Bear, you let me know if that's you, because if it is, shout out to you, man. Play naked Gino, that's right. You're the one that got Gino. I hope that worked out for you, man. I really do. This could be the renaissance we all needed this year. All right, last week I went in with Teddy, Too Scared Bridgewater against my better judgment, who scored me a whopping 0 points. So he got to throw one ball, but I went hard in the paint with Ramondre Stevenson, who was RB23 last week, 19.5 points. Curtis Samuel, look, what did I say? I just needed a steady player to make sure I didn't lose. 12.2 fantasy points. David Njoku, 14.8 fantasy points. I absolutely crushed it last week. Billy, you're so lucky I didn't have a quarterback. This lead would be insurmountable at this point. But alas, it is not. So here's going for me. Jimmy G at quarterback 16. I feel like this is an easy matchup, a quick pass to Debo. He doesn't really have to do anything. The chances of them having Tevin Coleman and Jeff Wilson Jr. be top, what are they both? Top 14 running backs on the week in week 5. I doubt that that's going to happen again. I'm willing to bet that the touchdown regression flows to Jimmy G. Jimmy G is my pick at quarterback this week. For my running back, just to find it again. Hey, can you believe it? RB17's Kenneth Walker, the waiver wire stud this week. I am plugging and playing Kenneth Walker into my lineup for this. I mean, 2 touchdowns is definitely a possibility. We absolutely love that here. I'm going with Jacoby Myers at wide receiver 26. Just a phenomenal play. The position I struggled with is tight end. Tight end is tough. I'm not going to be a dick and use Taysom Hill because Jacob didn't read properly. I'm not going to be that guy. I want to be that guy. Okay, but I'm going to be fair. I'm a man of the people. I'm a man of fairness, regardless of what people like Lucas might tell you. So this week, I am going to go one more time to the well, a player that I used in 2019 to win my first Dynasty championship. I'm going with Will Dissly at tight end. I understand any one of like 7 tight ends in Seattle can score a touchdown, but I'm confident that Will Dissly is going to put one into the end zone today. And it is Sugar Bear. Look, anyone watching and listening, all of our followers and our listeners, if you enjoy video games, right, you want to have a good time, go to Lord Sugar Bear over there on the Twitch and you follow and you sub and you have a great time. It is a great time. So shout out to Sugar Bear. Thanks for popping in, man. Much love. That's the picks. That's who's going to do it. Lucas, you're a guest here. You're going to fill in for Jacob. Why don't you let us know what his picks are and we will let Billy finish off.
Right. So, like I said, I'm filling in for Jacob this week, but honestly, I love his picks. These are definitely picks I would be making. And his quarterback this week.
Lucas, you don't want to say that with Jacob.
You know what? I benched Taysom Hill for Logan Thomas last week in one of my leagues without even seeing this. But I had Travis Kelce as my other tight end, so it's fine.
You're telling on yourself.
So it's all right. But at quarterback, Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones. You know what? I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Running back James Conner, and he does have in here an injury sub, Eno Benjamin, if James Conner can't go.
Yeah.
Tired of losing now? That's funny.
Wide receiver Deontay Johnson. I really like this pick here. A lot of value there. I'm seeing he's in the wide receiver 40s right now, which is just baffling. There's got to be some regression coming his
playing
way.
Tampa Bay will do that.
Yeah. And then because I guess he can't have Taysom Hill, his tight end's going to be Evan Ingram, because when in doubt, it seems like you all always either go with Evan Ingram or Everett. So it's got to be one of those two all the time.
About Everett.
There's this pick if it succeeds, and I feel like next week we're going to have to really consider giving him his 0.5 PPR if this blows up, just because he's not on the show and he can't defend himself right now if we came to agreement. If Evan Ingram blows up, he is the number 10 tight end in Fantasy Pros weekly rankings. Technically, it shouldn't count as full PPR for where he's selected. Just pointing that out. And the thing with Daniel Jones, look, the Giants played.
Jacob has 100 less points than second place.
I don't care. I got obliterated in this last year, okay? I push the buttons. I run the program. This is how it works. We know this. But look, the thing about Daniel Jones and why this pick scares me for him is Baltimore, in the schedule-adjusted fantasy points allowed, is 61%. They are the second highest in the league next to Seattle. That's terrifying. So I am afraid of his picks a little bit. Billy, give them to us. Let's go.
All right. So last week I did pretty good. Jamison Dalton sucks, but I mean, 10 points is 10 points. Bubba Brees, beautiful call. Devonta Smith, beautiful call. And finally, I broke the meme. I did it. I always make the joke we need to stop picking him. But I picked him, Gerald Everett. And you know what? He let me down with a sad 1.2 points. So that's it. I'm swearing off him for picks for life. I'm never drafting Gerald Everett ever again in this game. So my picks for this week. Look, I'm taking Matt Ryan versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville looks rough last week. I think he's going to get yardage. I don't want to play him. I never want to play Matt Ryan, but I think he's going to have – this is going to be a sneaky competitive game, and I think Matt Ryan's going to have a good chance to put up at least a decent amount of fantasy points. Next up, I got Raheem Mostert playing against – I lost the Dolphins on my screen. The Vikings this week. If it's Skylar Thompson, they're going to need to rely on that running game. And I think that's going to be good for Raheem Mostert. Finally, I'm taking Devonta Smith again, because if it ain't broke, I'm not going to fix it. And he's playing the Cowboys, which means A.J. Brown's going to be shadowed by Trayvon Diggs. So I think that means a lot of good going Devonta Smith's way. And finally, going against the Dolphins, I'm going to take Irv Smith. Irv Smith has been a sneaky fine tight end. He hasn't been good, but he's been fine. You know what? At tight end, that's what you want. I think later on, I said this on the review, I think later on in the season, Irv Smith is going to be a push to be a tight end 1 by the end of the year. I don't think he's going to do it right now, but he's consistently okay.
He gets 3 touchdowns, like 3 more touchdowns on the year. He'll be there because that's what tight end is. Yeah. It's just how it works. So that is our picks for the day. Not for the day. What the hell am I saying? Picks for the week. So sit tight. We're gonna go. We're going in. We're going in right now. Meat and potatoes of the program. We're lining it up, doing it up. We are going right now. Look, this is going in. This is presented by Fantasy Points. If you haven't already, you need to go to fantasypoints.com. They are a phenomenal website. Not only do they take a chance on us, they're taking a chance on other great brands, adding them to their affiliates. And you know what? Their data, everything else is top-notch, top of the line. You should head over to fantasypoints.com right now and subscribe. Look, lots of stuff has happened in the NFL. Obviously, it's almost impossible to keep up with every storyline unless you are in the streets all day and all night, seemingly never doing your law work like Jacob. always seem to have time to argue about really bad running backs. So what we try to do every week is we try to give you a little bit of tidbit information that you can go and use in your leagues or in your group chats or however you want to use it and apply it. That's up to you. We're just here to give it to you. Jasper says, I drafted Austin Hooper as my second tight end, got Andrews early. That's not
Hey,
bad.
man, at least you got Andrews.
Austin Hooper is one of those guys that just seems to never go away. Everyone just kind of seems to hold on to him at the back end of the roster.
Yeah, they're holding on to tight end 4 a couple years ago.
Yeah, exactly. This week we're going to talk about some dynasty assets, either breaking out, kind of staying put, fading fast. You know the drill. Just stuff that's sticking out to us one way or the other, and how we are going to approach it. I want to kick this off with Billy, who ended the last segment. Let's start you with going in. Let's talk about something, man.
Yeah, I mean, my fading fast, I think it's been one of the bigger story points from the last 5 weeks of football is easily Justin Fields. I think people need to start talking about his dynasty value and how we're perceiving him right now. The team clearly doesn't trust him as a proficient passer. And if you remember going back to before he was drafted, he was touted as arguably the second most NFL ready quarterback in that draft class, behind maybe Mac Jones, depending on how you view that. But I mean, he was touted to be more NFL ready than Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, everyone else in that class. And things have not been good. We're now in his second year. He's played 5 games as the starter. This is kind of what led on to the stat corner for this week. He's played 5 games as the starter. He has less pass attempts this year than Trubisky, than Tagovailoa, than Jimmy G, than Mac Jones.
It's bad.
All players who have missed games this year. Tagovailoa having left early multiple times. Trubisky having played 3.5 games now. Like, it's not good. They're not using him significantly. And I get it. You might be saying he's not throwing the ball a lot. But if he's efficient on those throws, if he's performing well on those passes, then we can expect good things to come. And maybe this is something to do with his wide receiving core. Who's really to say? But let's look at some of his efficiency metrics. He has completed just 55% of his passes. Among quarterbacks who have played in all 5 games this year, he is third to last in catchable target rate, second to last in completion percentage, second to last in QBR, fourth last in big time throw percentage, and third last in touchdown to interception ratio. He continues to not be allowed to play football, and with the limited work he gets, he is not efficient enough to continuously produce. Your fantasy stock right now, your belief in Justin Fields, because there's some people who think he's a buy, there's some people who think he's a sell.
Correct.
Your belief solely has to be based on what you think is causing this problem. This is not something that is going to be fixed by week 8, by week 12, probably by the end of the year. This is something that's going to be at least symptomatic through the rest of the year. If you have him in redraft, drop it. He shouldn't be on your team.
Ooh.
And that's just the way it has to be. But if you have him in Dynasty right now, I mean, if you can find a person that'll gladly buy him, I'd strongly be considering it. Because there's a good chance Chicago is one of the worst teams in the league this year. And they're drafting early next year.
They can't.
And
I guess Chicago can,
yeah. And all that's to say that I'm skeptical that this is a problem that gets fixed ahead of 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Chicago looks like an inefficient team with a roster that is getting worse by the day. And we all thought that the Allen Robinson problem was Allen Robinson. Turns out probably was. But now we're looking at guys like Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert, Velus Jones, Equanimeous St. Brown. All these guys are not being used as effective fantasy options. Chicago is not the team we wanted them to be. And I think we need to bite the bullet and just admit that that's the case. Because Justin Fields is not doing it for fantasy this year. And I think you need to take stock of how you view him. Because if you view him poorly, you need to be prepared to say he is not going to be good for fantasy for the rest of his career.
Yeah, no, man, that so sucks. Like,
It does. And like the history with these
Like, we
quarterbacks who have been horrible through their first 2 seasons is not good
No.
at all. And there's not good for as reclamation projects down the road. So he either needs to get it right in the second half of the season or trade him for any sort of value you can possibly get. It's not going to go up. He has 194 rushing yards right now, and he's still terrible for fantasy. That's absolutely nuts.
Like,
kind of
it's
his best week last week.
It is crazy to look at Justin Fields having played 5 games, and we can sort all the quarterbacks that have played every game this year. Justin Fields has 150 less yards than anyone else on that list. And the guys that are below him, or that are just above him, Cooper Rush, who played in 5 games but didn't play all 5 games, Daniel Jones, who played in 5 games, who didn't play all 5 games, Marcus Mariota, that somehow looks worse than Justin Fields right now, Baker Mayfield, who I listed off all those stats. The reason Justin Fields was second last in a lot of these was because Baker was last in a lot of them. Like, it does not look good for Justin Fields.
So you say he's 150 yards less than any of their quarterbacks who've played in 5 games, correct?
Yes.
So he's also 9th in yards per attempt at 7.7.
Yeah.
Which is that's maddening. He has shown that he likes to try to push the ball down the field. Even during his rookie season, he had a really high percentage of passes that were going 10 plus yards down the field. But he didn't connect with a whole bunch of them then. Reason I was buying him, I was hoping he'd have positive regression there. But man, it's rough, especially for a player I was so high on coming into the draft. It sucks.
It's so hard to like see the downfall.
Yeah.
Honest question, honest to God, Mac Jones or Justin Fields, right?
Mac Jones.
You had to make a trade right now.
Look, I was the Justin Fields guy.
I know. That's
what makes this worse. He was my guy.
I know.
Like, it's so hard to say because I view no ceiling in Justin Fields or in Mac Jones.
Right.
Justin Fields, legitimately, I view him as having the same ceiling as a guy like Trey Lance, where if he figures this out, if he has a team that builds a wide receiving core around him, if this isn't indicative of what he is, and he is the prospect we thought he was coming out, I still think he has that top 5 upside. Right now, for the rest of this season, in Dynasty, I think I would keep Justin Fields in that trade just because I think he still maintains a lot of that value going into the offseason.
I'm cutting bait.
Let me ask this. Justin Fields or Mac Jones in a second?
It's still Mac Jones in a second.
Yeah, it's okay. So there's not a lot separating what you would make that trade for.
Yeah, like it's very disappointing to sit here now and say that's rough. I traded Justin Fields for Tua straight up a couple weeks ago, and that is the happiest trade I've made all year.
Yeah, no, good call. Lucas, what are we at? We're at 45. We got time for 2 more. Hit us with one here.
All right, so I'm going to do the person I'm much more excited about, and that's somebody who's breaking
I kind of started
out.
on a bummer.
Yeah, let's make it a little bit more positive. It's the person breaking out, and for me, that's Amon-Ra St. Brown, who has elevated his game to a level to where you can consider him among the elite young options in the NFL. Like, it was a really nice end of the season last year, but I'm not going to say most. I wasn't convinced that was the real deal. Coming into this year, I didn't really know if he would maintain the same sort of usage with Detroit getting more options. But I mean, you look at what he does, and he's wide receiver 10 on the season, even with missing a week. Right, he's top 5 in yards after catch per game. He's top 10 in targets per game, and he has room to grow in air yards. And you know what? Even if he doesn't get his air yards up, that just makes me feel even better about whenever Jameson Williams comes into the picture, because that's somebody who's going to be getting those air yards targets, which means DJ Tark, sorry, you're gone. But I mean, he is getting a lot of usage. He is doing a lot with his usage, and he's even getting the high value targets in the red zone. He sees at least 2 targets per game in the red zone. That's what you want. You want people who have that touchdown upside, people who can produce with the ball in their hands. And even if his targets go down, the way that he can make those extra yards and the value in where he is getting opportunities makes him really safe. And he has shown, if he even grows his workload some, which he doesn't have to, but if he does grow it, he's going to be finishing as a top 5 wide receiver for multiple years. And I'm so excited. I know you all have said on the show a couple of times that you don't want to buy that future production for a wide receiver or the unproven production. This is proven production. This is the points that are always going to be there for you. And he still has week winning upside. That is a player I am 1000% buying. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I am pumped.
He's a baller. He's a straight up baller. And I know a lot of people are worrying about JMO. I don't even think we see a healthy JMO all year. Like, they don't have a reason to rush him. I think he's going to be on a snap count. Billy's muted. That'll happen.
Not 100% probably is all I said.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think we're going to get 100% of JMO. So, I mean, if there are still doubters out there, take advantage. I traded him for a 24-1, sent an entire league into a frenzy. They said it was too cheap. You can still get him for a relatively decent price. I think Lucas has hit it on the head, though he kind of copped out a little bit on the breakout player, because we know Amon-Ra is good. Like I said, there are still some players out there, some fantasy players that doubt him. Jasper's coming in, traded Fournette for Curtis Samuel and James Cook this past week. I hope you're not contending, because Fournette's going to continue to ball.
Fournette's going to push to be the RB1 this year.
And that's purely based off workload.
Oh, sure. But I mean, workload is workload. He had negative yards last week and had 20 points.
All right, let me ask you all a question real quick before we move on. Amon-Ra St. Brown or CeeDee Lamb today in a Dynasty League? Who are you taking?
I'll take CeeDee.
Yeah, I'm taking CeeDee too.
See, I'm really leaning towards Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra in a second.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra.
Man, it's tough. I don't know.
You can't make it close, then go Amon-Ra and a good future player.
Yeah, exactly.
I just try to prove my point, man. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah. We got Sean in the chat, super short benches league, but I'm winless and traded Fournette for Najee in a first. That's easy money. I don't want to be buying Najee if I'm on a contending team, because I have said in this process, Sean, that I think Najee stinks. Even come the draft, on draft day, I called him expensive James Conner. Billy has been anti-Najee all season, so we're with you there. If you're winless, you're getting a young, usable back and a first-round pick. For the most part, 9 times out of 10, we're going to pick the player in a pick side. 9 times out of 10. There are some cases.
All right. Look, Eric Ezukama and a first.
Oh, no.
Or Cooper Kupp.
No, that's enough. Look, we've been going in for a little bit here. We're going to play a clip from last week's show. When we come back, we're going to finish this segment out. We're going to get to our pick'ems immediately thereafter. So sit tight. Here's a clip from last week's show. Hope you enjoy.
Going with too much certainty on which sort of offenses could be competent and which ones couldn't be, I think ultimately led me astray in some spots. Specifically, we can talk about Sky Moore some other time in Dynasty. I have no issues with him in Dynasty.
Right.
But in redraft, I wish that I had a lot less Sky Moore for sure, just based on the run out and stuff we've seen so far. And certain guys that I didn't draft a lot of, but like that I would allow into my player pool. Like guys like MVS and Gabe Davis were guys that I was like, I don't really think that they're worth what their price was, but I'll have like 4 or 5% of these guys. Like I'll work them in best ball when like those should have been the guys that I was zeroing in reality.
Boy, that take aged real fast.
Yeah, it did. But look, that's the name of the game. You know.
Yeah, it is.
Look, we're picking players. I obviously every week I come correct. I have a couple. I'm gonna pick one. I just want to shout out a tweet from Trav over at True North. You can go to truenorthffb.com. You can get all the True North guys fantasy takes, rankings, phenomenal group. You can also go to truenorthffb.com/full tilt and get our catalog of episodes if you are not caught up, as well as you can head over to YouTube. Please head over to YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, get notified whenever we go live. We're putting out at least 3 shows a week at this point. Absolutely doing it for the people. But this tweet here,
I saw it, Lucas.
Strength of schedule, Ramondre Stevenson, the Rammers' next 4 opponents' average is 28.8 in schedule adjusted points allowed per fantasy points. Damien Harris is going to be out for a couple of weeks. Ramondre should be pushing top 5 over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be disgusting, his output. So that's not who I want to talk about, though. We know Ramondre's good. We don't got to talk. I will still debate whoever I can. I wish I could remember who had this take. That they basically told me that Ramondre is going to have Derrick Henry's career arc. I fought that vigorously and continue to fight that. But Ramondre is a very good player. Would like to see more receptions. He had a little bit more route participation this week with Billy Zappi, which was weird. But that's not who I want to talk about. I actually want to talk about one of Lucas's players. A player that I wasn't going to discuss much coming into the year, but I feel like he has to be discussed. Now, I want to preface this with saying I do not think the top 12 Dynasty running back range is where he should be. But going into yesterday, before last night's game when I wrote this up, Pierce is making a case for everyone who thought someone reached on him in rookie drafts. Now, I will say that 104 was an absolute fucking reach, but you should be enjoying the spoils of your risk. So congratulations for that. But that was still insane to me. But in week 5, Pierce saw his highest target share at 20.8%. Running backs in week 5 with 5 or more targets. He ranked 6th in that category. He hauled in 3 receptions on 5 targets. He was previously 10 for 10 on his targets. Phenomenal. So the question was, can he receive? Can he catch passes? What can he do with it? The answer is yes, he can catch passes. So far, not doing much with them, but he can make the reception. He has the hands. That's important. We absolutely love to see. With knowing what he could do on the ground, I just want to ask this from you guys. The last 3 weeks is just unbelievable. He's top 10 running back the last 3 weeks. Top 10 in PPR formats. I didn't expect it this early. I didn't expect this at all, especially on a trash offense in Houston that could barely put up 6 points. It's insane to me. He runs like Marshawn Lynch. At least that's what the talking heads on the Bird app have been referencing. He runs hard. He runs straight up. It's dangerous. It's violent, but he seems to be athletic. He seems to be gelling. He seems to be the real deal. The question is, this is what I want to ask. If he keeps eating into Flex Burkhead's workload out of the backfield,
I like Flex Burkhead. That's a good one.
What is his actual upside? And then I'll also ask you this. This one's specifically for Billy. Would you prefer Kenneth Walker or Damien Pierce for the rest of the season, given with what you have seen so far? Let's start with that one. Billy, who would you prefer? Kenneth Walker or Damien Pierce?
I saw this in the show sheet and I was really excited to talk about it because That's just such a fun question. Like it felt like prior to the draft, there was 2 running backs and we didn't really care about anyone else.
I
Like,
cared about James Cook. Please don't suck.
no, Tom, you cared about James Cook.
Right.
Anyway, no, so like this is such a crazy turn of events, just how good Damien Pierce is. I'll answer your first question before I answer your second question. If he remains as the pure workload running back, I think his ceiling is probably top 8, top 7.
Oh, hey, okay.
Some people want to put it higher, and I think that's fine. My rule is I don't buy into running backs on bad teams. He's
Right.
not getting, like, he's getting targets, and those targets are great. He's not getting CMC targets. He's not getting the targets that these running backs on bad teams get that prop them into these like elite level running backs. But just from sheer workload, the amount of rush attempts he's getting and still getting, say, 3 receptions a game, that's enough baseline where if you stay healthy, you're going to end up as the RB8. So, I mean, pure ceiling, he stays healthy. I think he's going to end up in that range pretty easily. I mean, unless he starts getting those CMC catches, those level of targets. I mean, in that case, sure, yeah, top 4. I mean, probably. But like the thing is, the Texans are, if not the Bears, the worst team in football, and I think that's pretty easy to say.
Yeah.
The
The
only team
Texans
without
had their
win.
first win this week and put up 14 points.
Yeah.
They've played Indianapolis, Denver, Chicago, the Chargers, Jacksonville. None of those defenses really scare me outside of maybe Denver for my running backs to play against. Chicago is a husk of what it was in 2017, 2018. The Chargers are not living up to expectations. And his rushing production against the Chargers is bolstered very heavily by a long 80-yard run. Like, Damien Pierce is very exciting because he feels like what we want Josh Jacobs to be, what we wanted Chris Carson to be. The extent at which I think that becomes real, I don't think it's going to reach the ceiling that people want it to be. Just because I don't think the Chargers or the Texans are going to want to, 1, run their best asset into the ground. 2, do that because that might give them a chance to win games. And 3, do it against these horrible game scripts they're going to be facing. And because of that being said, this is something that will probably replay at the end of the year and I get to eat crow on. I'm still taking Kenneth Walker.
Oh, the take lock. Oh, the take lock.
The thing is, I don't think it is take lock.
I'm just fucking.
Like, I think the Seahawks are a better offense.
Yes.
I think they're an offense that is good enough that these defenses that want to focus on a player aren't going to focus on it. If they came out next week, say the Raiders came out after the Texans bye, and they all focused on Pierce, it's probably not going to be the best. But if they build their plan around stopping Walker, then Metcalf and Lockett are going to burn them. I think that team is just going to be inherently better, and because of that, I'm going to bet on Kenneth Walker because I think they're going to have similar workloads.
That's fair. Before Lucas answers, I want to say this. When you talk about his potential, like his ceiling being top 8, this is why I'm going to push back on that. There's one player who is a running focused player on a good offense, who is a rushing hog, who is one of the most elite runners of the football in fantasy. And all we keep begging for is that he catches more passes. Nick Chubb has only hit top 8 in his career once in points per game, and that was 7th. That is why I really view Damien Pierce's ceiling at this rate with his targets and how he's producing. He's going to need the touchdowns. It doesn't it doesn't come as a surprise that Pierce's 3 top 10 games have come in the 3 weeks he's scored a touchdown. That doesn't those 3 things.
Well, sure, that's
oh my God. Like, he's obviously touchdown dependent on a bad offense. Now, I think any running back who stays healthy all year, that is a 60%, 65% workload or opportunity share player at running back should finish top 12. I think that top 15. I think a reasonable range from him is 15 to 12. And I think as a player who you hopefully by God drafted in the middle of the second round, even early second round, I think if you get a top 12 to 15 season out of that, you should be absolutely laughing, which leads me to this. B-Dubs, longtime listener, subscriber, we love him. Damien Pierce or a 24 first. I am still taking that 24 first every single time. Every time.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on the 24 first, and Lucas, I'm going to let you finish. But
I'm taking Damien Pierce, but
I do want to shout out right now that you were correct in all those statistics. I'm not going to push back on those.
Links to
2020, Nick Chubb was the RB11 in 12 games and easily would have been over that level. Also, in those 12 games, he was the QB11 with 16 receptions. And Damien Pierce currently has 13, and 90% of those came in the last 3 weeks.
I totally get it. I understand. In 2020, Player Profiler has Nick Chubb as the RB7 in points per game. He scored 12 touchdowns. Damien Pierce is not scoring 12 touchdowns this year. I will make that bet right now. He's not scoring. And he won't have that efficiency. So I'm not disagreeing with you in that aspect, but
also points per game is a weird statistic for running backs too.
Points per game is the only statistic I care about. That's why I use it. I don't like
running backs, like,
we can have the
4 games a year, so
for like 7 hours. Okay, the people don't need to hear this again. We have all off season for that. Lucas, finish the questions. We can move on, please.
Speaking of all off season, this sounds like a player I was touting all off season, because I found a way to work him into every single fantasy walkabout show because he fits so many. You muted me?
Damn right. Yeah. Right. Now you can finish. You know what?
I was losing it.
Regardless, he was coming into the season as the running back 39 in your dynasty leagues, and it wasn't much better in redraft. And I'm going to try to be realistic here. If he has 8 touchdowns this year, I will be happy. All right. If he gets up to 30 receptions, that's pushing it. That would be a really good goal. That's something I would want him to push for. And I think that the best case scenario for him is he is a poor man's Aaron Jones. He's somebody who doesn't have the lows of Aaron Jones, but also doesn't reach the highs. He is an explosive, violent runner who does work in the pass game, who grades out very well in any of your advanced metrics, and who looks so freaking good every time you watch him. If he just maintains that nice workload and is able to still produce in the passing game, because if he does get involved, he's going to be game script neutral because Davis Mills doesn't throw the ball downfield and doesn't use Cooks or anyone else on the team, I'm going to be really happy. And I don't know. I think that with the way he's playing, and the fact that I don't see the Houston Texans investing in running back going into next season, I think you can do better than a 24 first if you wait it out a little while longer. You do not have to make those moves. There are going to be plenty of people who are willing to offer a 24 first for Damien Pierce. Hold on, enjoy your victory lap while you can, and just watch him keep producing for your fantasy teams and proving me right. And it makes me so happy. So happy he was on the show sheet.
That's fair. I will give him this. I heard this and I had to vet this. His 17 missed tackles forced is the most a running back has ever been charted in a single game since Pro Football Focus started charting the stat. That is absolutely bananas. It's bonkers. It's wild. I love it, man. He's been good, and that's what I'm saying. But I'm still of the please trade him. Please trade him. Because look, again, if you got him in that second round, and how can you sit there and watch Marvin Harrison Jr. play for Ohio State right now and be like, I'd keep Damien Pierce. Like Quinn Ewers. There's so much talent in the 2024 class. I really think that you can get replaceable value with other running backs like Aaron Jones. You typically don't have to pay a first for. So I think if you're just talking about opportunity cost and competing and wanting it, I think you take that high priced asset. I just wanted to shout out that he is breaking out at this point, and he deserves all the praise that he's been getting. He's been phenomenal. Can we stop calling him Marshawn Lynch? Just like for me, as a realist, could we not? My guy Stevenson tore it up. Jasper, he did. That's why I picked him last week, right? I picked him as one of my player picks, and he was my one of my underdog picks last week as well here on the program. Sean, link to the Patreon month ago. I promised to support after my wedding, and I just got home from my honeymoon. Congratulations! Just got home hanging out with us. Shout out to you. And to truly become such a fan since I found out about the Full Tilt Crew a few months ago. We appreciate that. We love you. Look, we made it all free. It's all free. We're doing this for you guys at this point. The biggest help and support you can do for us, you can go to truenorthffb.com/full tilt. It's at the top of the screen. Link to the Discord will be there. It'll walk you through it. It's all free. Wherever you're listening, podcast version, look, like, rate, and subscribe. That's how you can help the Full Tilt Crew. It helps us boost us up the charts. It helps us reach more people, and it would really mean a lot to us. So shout out. Much love, Sean. Really hope you enjoyed the honeymoon. Work hard for it, man. You deserve it. Look, we're going to move right on. We're heading into our underdog pick'ems of the week. We've been bitten by a bug the last couple of weeks. It wasn't working well for us. It would seem like every time we would do this program, one of us would screw it up. It would just be like the most ridiculous thing that would cause us the loss. And I'm tired of it. Last week we hit, goddammit. I absolutely loved it. We hit. Billy was sweating it. He wasn't sure if I was going to come through. Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
A bit of timing his way. But if you don't know what underdog is, or even what pick'em is, I want to tell you about it. It's the easiest and most fun way to spice up your fantasy seasons. It's Underdog Fantasy in their brand new game, Pick'em. Just pick over or under on one of your favorite players, or someone you really can't stand. Doesn't matter. Over, under, 2, up to 5. You hit on all those, man, you can multiply it to 5. It is phenomenal. And if you have not played Underdog, all you have to do is go to underdogfantasy.com. Use promo code FULLTILT, just like the 2 words up there. 1 word, FULLTILT, Full Tilt. They will deposit match you up to $100. And look, when it comes to best ball season, you're going to want that cashola. Best Ball Mania, $25 to enter. That's the big tournament. Okay, the big brainiacs. Guys like Ben Gretsch, friend of the show, guest of the show. Ben Gretsch, they're out there every day on those streets getting ready for Best Ball Mania. You can be too. 4 free entries. All you need is go to underdogfantasy.com. Use promo code FULLTILT, FULLTILT. They'll deposit match you to $100. All right, let's go. Oh, baby, here we go. Pick'ems. Lucas, you're making the pick for Jacob this week. Don't blow it. Who you got?
So I'm going with Deebo Samuel over 60.5 receiving yards in 2 out of the 3 games. With Jimmy G at quarterback, he has eclipsed that mark. Last week, it's a little bit of a rough week, but it's not for lack of trying. He still saw 9 targets, and I'm not scared of the Falcons' pass defense. Give me Deebo Samuel over 60.5 receiving yards.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That helps me. That helps me with my Jimmy G pick. Billy?
Yeah, I've been talking about it on the review. I've been saying I love playing players against the Cardinals, and I love playing players against the Seahawks. And this week, a beautiful moment happened. They're playing each other. It's going to be 2 bad defenses and 2 great offenses absolutely showing out. And I'm going to put a lot of overs on this game. But I think the clearest one right now is DK Metcalf over 69.5 receiving yards. that just feels easy to me. It feels like
Okay.
DK is getting a lot of love from Geno. It seems like initially that relationship with Lockett was a lot better, but it's been changing a lot with DK the last couple of weeks. And I think there's a lot of good there. So, yep, I'm going to hammer that one pretty easily, especially given how bad the secondary for the Cardinals looks.
I love that. That's a great pick. Baltimore has given up the second most fantasy points to quarterbacks, if I'm not mistaken. That's going to bode well for Daniel Jones, who can run, and you can just pass it off to Saquon Barkley. That's all you got to do. I am taking the over at 235.5 total yards from Daniel Jones against the Baltimore Ravens this week. So that's going to be the pick.
Well,
Well,
it looks like Thomas's internet just flat out disconnected.
No, okay, this is what happened. So on my mouse button right here, on my mouse, this is a gaming mouse. And unfortunately, I have this little program here, this little button right here, pre-programmed to be the back button. So I basically just backed out of the show by accident. But that's okay, we're here. Look, the picks, real simple. We're going Debo, right? Going Debo, and then we're taking Daniel Jones. We're taking the overs. It's an all overs program. Gentlemen, let's get some final thoughts before we get the hell out of here. Billy?
Yeah, Brees Hall is phenomenal. Lucas?
Very good.
I like that. Very short and sweet. I can't argue at all with you. I just hate that nobody will trade him to me in any league. They won't even listen to offers, and it makes me big time sad. I'm very happy I got to
that offer.
I'm very happy I got to fill on the show. It's always a blast whenever I get to come on with you all. And it makes my life a whole lot easier whenever I go back and I clip things because I get to hear my beautiful voice. So I'm really excited. All around plus for me.
Look, I want to give a shout out to everyone listening, hanging out with us in the chat. We absolutely love and appreciate you. You can go to Full Tilt, the Full Tilt Dynasty Podcast Network on YouTube. Hit that like, that subscribe, that notification bell. We put out a ton of content every week. I'm bullish enough to say that we might put out the most YouTube content on these fantasy streets. If you have an opposition for us in that regards, you let us know and we'll take them down. We'll amp it up if we have to. Wherever you're listening to, on Apple, on Spotify, on Amazon Music, where you can find us now, all over the place. Remember, like, subscribe, leave a comment. It doesn't even have to make sense. You can tell me that my hat smells, I need to wash it. Doesn't matter what you tell us, as long as you tell us something, it means a lot. And I always want to end the show the same way every week because it's really important. There are people on the other side of your screen. So remember that as you're out there, you're on the Twitter, you're battling it out, you're in your league chats, dropping memes. Let's remember that we are still playing a game that we love, and there are other people. Remember to check in on your loved ones. Remember that clear-eyed, full-hearted, you never lose, and that your best days are always spent tilting. Good night, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.